Welcome to Truth of the Day with Coach Tina McCrea. I'm here to share practical principles with a biblical foundation to help empower you to live your life like it's gold.
Hi, I'm Dr. Tina McCrea, and I want to thank you for allowing me to be a part of your life's transformation today with a part of Truth of the Day. Today, I wanted to share an idea on the topic of perspective. And are you thinking, what about perspective? Well, first of all, let's think about what perspective is. In Noah Webster's dictionary, 1828 dictionary, I love that dictionary, the online dictionary says perspective, meaning per spatio, means to see. And so you also consider perspective, a definition talks about as the objects appear to the eye from any distance or situation. Sometimes we take a look at situations and circumstances from the wrong vantage point or perspective. And so that's why I wanted to talk about perspective. I've been doing a lot of reading and a lot of listening to audible books dealing with the mind and our thought life. One of the books that I have listened to recently and have almost finished with is a book by Dr. Caroline Leaf. She's one of my favorite authors right now. And she actually has a book club on YouTube as well. And it's called Think, Learn, Succeed, Understanding and Using Your Mind to Thrive at School, the Workplace, and in Life. And so she actually came to Atlanta too, so I was pretty excited to see her. And then the other book that I really enjoy is Dr. Gail Rogers. She's actually a personal mentor of mine, and we've been walking together for a couple of decades now. And Dr. Gail has a book called The Whole Soul, Re-Scripting Your Life for Personal Transformation. And that book has really impacted my life. I suggest you look into that book. And then there's another person, Dr. Kelly Brogan, which I've mentioned before, how she talks about a book. She has a book called A Mind of Your Own. And so Dr. Gail, one of the things in her books she talks about is to stop and think about what you are thinking. You're like, okay, that's a lot. Wait a minute. Stop and think about what you are thinking. Because the majority of the times, our thoughts may reveal some unfruitful patterns of behavior. So what you're thinking about, the question is it beneficial for you or is it detrimental to you and your life? And I've really been, I was doing the 21-day brain detox. Our church has done it. My family has done it. And some are still going through it. And when you start thinking about the thoughts that you have, the Bible talks about how we should, in Romans 12, that we should be transformed by the renewing of our minds. But oftentimes we don't think about how do we do that? And that is bringing those thoughts that we have into captivity and then thinking about that thought. Why did that come into my mind? What was the purpose for it? What triggered that thought? And how is that beneficial? And am I looking at it from the right perspective? And so one of the things, there's some human behavioral experts that believe that the way you think is tied to your DNA. And actually has the ability to attract positive or negative people into your life. It's called the law of attraction. So you actually can draw, if you're thinking negative about yourself, you're going to have people that treat you negatively. But if you think positive of yourself and see yourself as somebody valuable, then people are going to value that. Psalm 119:80 says, "And let me live whole and holy, soul and body, so I can always walk with a head held high." Isn't that powerful? Let me live a life that's whole and holy, so that, and with my body, my soul, and think about all that's tied to your mind, so that you can always walk with your head held high. If you have low self-esteem and low self-worth, then that's a prayer for you. Lord, let me, live my life. What am I thinking about myself? Help me to change the way I think and the way I see myself and the way I perceive myself. Sometimes we think about, we spend more time thinking about what other people think about ourselves than focusing on what we should think about ourselves. I know what they're thinking. How do you? Are you a mind reader? What about how you think about yourself? And then you project that to others. So there's a gentleman I heard on a TED Talk. I love TED Talks. Roy Sutherland. He was in Athens and he did a TED Talk on perspective. and he talked about the power of reframing things is a key to your success. Reframing how you see things, reframing how you perceive things, reframing how you think. So he shared an experience about how he was at this social event in the UK, something we would call networking here in the US, and that he was at a networking event. And he was saying, sometimes at a networking event, you don't want to spend time talking to everyone the entire time. There may be times that you may want to just, step over to the side and just be in thought for a minute, or just be with yourself thinking, maybe drinking on whatever you're drinking on, and just gathering your thoughts for the next conversation. Or you just may want to go and stare out the window and look at the view of wherever the hotel or wherever the place is that's holding the networking event. But if you did that and you walked off by yourself and looking out the window like that, or just staring off to yourself by yourself, then people may consider you to be antisocial or friendless idiot. But if you did the same thing and you had what he called a cigarette in your hand, or even if you had your cell phone up to your ear talking like you were really into a powerful conversation, people would consider you a philosopher or somebody that's really important. They must be on call, or they must have something really important going on. But it's the same thing. So he said the same posture, just a different perspective, is what one may have about someone. And he also stated, and this is important, that the circumstances of our lives matter less than how we see them. The circumstances of our lives matter less than how we see them. I had a friend for a whole year. She would say to me constantly, Alexis Alexander would say to me, don't get so focused on the circumstances and situations. Refocus. What is it that God's trying to say to you? What is it that you need to do? How should you respond versus react? And so that's what we're talking about when we're saying the circumstances should matter less than what we are seeing about ourselves. So let's think about that. I want to tell you a story about something that recently happened. This is why I'm talking about perspective, because my entire perspective has been a certain way for probably about 25 years. And this is going to sound silly to some people, but maybe somebody else can relate to it. So most of my career, I have said to people, and I just could not stand Excel, Microsoft Excel. I was afraid to use it. I don't know what circumstance happened along the way in my career, but anytime somebody asked me to use Excel, I start doing an Excel formula, there was this voice inside that was like, ah! I mean, it was like I was screaming on the inside when I heard that I had to do something with Excel. And I've taken classes, I've had people show me how to do it. It wasn't sticking. And it was something about it. It was just a perception about myself about using Excel. And I actually had a manager that said to me, now, this is quite interesting. I was doing great in my career, excelling, had all these exceptional awards and everything. And I had a manager say to me, people are going to think that you're not valuable, or that you're stupid because you can't use Excel. It should be a toolkit for you, and you should be an expert at Excel. And they're just going to think you're not going to get anywhere not knowing Excel. Interestingly enough, that person was let go in the same year, and I was actually elevated to a new opportunity that they had created in the organization. And I wasn't that expert in Excel, and told them the truth about that. But it still ate at me. Even though that occurred, it still ate at me over the years that when I had to do it, it bothered me. And I'm like, as I start doing this 21-day brain detox, remember, I'm captivating every thought and looking at how I perceive things, the MPA, multiple perspective advantage, taking a step outside yourself and taking another look at the situation from a different point of view. And so there was a circumstance that came up recently, about 2-3 weeks ago, where two of my teammates were going on PTO, and my manager was like, well, you can just do a simple VLOOKUP in this Excel spreadsheet and you can get the information. Because I was like, well, the data is really jumbled and it's hard to get. And he's like, yeah, but you could just do a VLOOKUP. And I'm like, oh no, VLOOKUP. Here I go, Lord. So I said, to myself, no, I'm going to do it this time. I'm not going to. Why am I afraid of this? What is the problem? And one of my coworkers tried to show me a little bit about it. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to get this today. I'm not going to let this hold me down again. Why am I tripping over this? There's YouTube. There's other things I can look at and figure it out. So I did. I took my time. I started working through it. I looked at what my coworker had shared with me. Then I looked up on YouTube and tried to figure out. I had it all in there. It looked like it should work, but I wasn't getting the results back that I thought I should get. And so remember, I'm doing a VLOOKUP. That's important because I'm going to use this in this analogy a little bit later. A VLOOKUP is what I was trying to do. And basically a VLOOKUP is you're saying I had two spreadsheets side by side, and I wanted Excel to go into the one spreadsheet, look through all the data, the full array of data, and then bring back to me in this one field a particular piece of information. And so I kept looking at it. It was Valentine's Day, by the way. So it's getting late. I know people are about to leave work. There's, in my mind, who can I ask to help me out? It's bringing back information. I can't figure out why it's not putting the information there. I'm following the instructions. So I ping a coworker and a former colleague and that I knew was an expert, and he's really sweet, not judgmental at all. But they seemed to be active, but they weren't responding. So I called the help desk. That person just happened to not know, and I was like, well, that's okay, let me figure it out. So then around about 6 o'clock, when I really had gotten hold, I was like, look, I'm not going to panic. I know it's something that I'm looking at. I'm not seeing what am I not seeing? To perceive, remember, means to see something. What am I not looking at? So when he comes on, he actually comes back and says, hey, I'm here. Let me see your screen. And he's like, it's bringing the data back. See, at the bottom of your screen, it's telling you this is exactly what you were looking for. All you had to do was hit a refresh key, and then it would bring it back, and you would get the information. Refresh. Sometimes we need to take a fresh start, refresh the way we think about ourselves, refresh the way you're thinking about the circumstance and the situation, because what you're looking for could be right in front of your face. The answer was right there, but I didn't see it because I was still feeling like I didn't know what I was doing. And then once I saw that, man, I started doing formulas everywhere, and I even ventured out. And then you know what? Here's something else. I had this crazy pain in my neck. So bad, I'm talking about spasm, so bad that I was having to go get chiropractic care and get adjusted. And it was just, I was getting better from it, but the spasm was so bad. And you know what, Dr. Boone, you've seen her, she's one of my underwriters. She kept saying, there is an it that you need to address in your life. And whatever that it is, once you address it, it's going to relieve some stress in your body. Your body is reflecting something that you're focusing on, that you're stressing over. And I'm like, no, there's nothing. Honey, as soon as I released that fear and realized what I was looking for was right there and that I no longer had that fear, the pain left. That muscle spasm hasn't been there since. I felt so free. I can't even describe to you the liberty and freedom I had. Fear was no longer part there, holding me hostage over a formula. And somebody may think, oh, that is so silly. But what has you held hostage? That's simple, like a formula, or it may be a formula for your life. It may be a strategy. It may be something you're trying to figure out in your family. It may be something you're trying to figure out in your business. But all you need to do is a VLOOKUP. And when I say VLOOKUP, I'm talking about vertical. Vertical is up and down, right? And so what if you did a VLOOKUP and look vertically to God? I sit there, and when I was thinking about this thing, I was like, God, this is so like us that we try to figure out our entire life, and we want to see the end before we even get there. And all we need to do is let you handle the full array of our lives. All we need to do for this one place that I'm trying to get, you know, the place that you call there, the place that you're trying to get to, that one position or whatever it is you're trying to get to, and you need to do a VLOOKUP. Look up to God. Allow Him to search the entire array. Array means every element, every structure, every list. You know, there's people that have lists about their relationship. You know, the right person that I marry got to fit this list of requirements, or, you know, I have a list of all the things I need to do before I get 35 and you 20, or before I get this age, I should have accomplished, by now, I should have been at this place in my life. Who told you that? Did you tell yourself that? Did you look at somebody else's life and compare it to that? Have you done a VLOOKUP and just really, there's something that you may be missing right in front of your face that God is showing you. And all you need to do is let him go through the full array of your life and place right in that spot. You know, I call get in your spot. Everybody has a spot. And when you step out of your spot and get upset and start comparing because somebody, you ever seen children? When they're busy and the teacher's saying, everybody get in your line and stay in your spot. And then somebody gets out of their spot and then somebody steps in and they get an attitude, hey, that's my spot. You know, people do it in church. They do it at work. So-and-so got my spot. Well, guess what? Everybody has a spot, a season, purpose, opportunity, and timing. What is your spot? And have you gotten out of it? Are you not clear what your spot is? Because God's trying to put you in that spot. He's trying to get you there, but you won't give up the full array of your life and surrender it to him. I challenge you today to trust God to place you and place what's needed in the right place at the right time of your life. Now, that doesn't mean, and I don't mean to say that you do nothing. I'm just going to wait on the Lord. No, there are some things you need to be listening. There are some things he's giving you some instruction to do. And that doesn't mean to sit and do nothing. But what it does say is let's not complain. I was so busy murmuring and complaining and being so anxious about this whole VLOOKUP and this whole formula thing and saying what I couldn't do and what I wasn't good at, that I didn't give myself an opportunity to grow and to expand. And so now I've ventured out, like I said, and I'm doing all other kind of formulas now, and I'm really excited about it. And so I say to you, let's not worry, let's not murmur, let's not complain, let's not talk about anything that you can't do, because that's taken away from what God is calling you to. How about this? If you do that VLOOKUP, I tell you, you will enjoy a new level of freedom and liberty that comes from that VLOOKUP to God. And then you will also experience a new sense of purpose. When I did that, I was like, man, all this time I've been wasting being so afraid of this formula. What time are we wasting because of such situations and circumstances that have happened in the past, and you've held on to it in your non-conscious mind, and it stopped you from getting to where you need to be today? But you know what? They talk about at work, we need to have a can-do attitude. When people are looking for people in certain positions for jobs and opportunities, they say, we're looking for somebody with a can-do attitude. Do you have that can-do attitude? I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Well, a can-do attitude is not just something that you're acting like you can do. You know how people fake it till you make it? No, this here, I couldn't fake. I couldn't fake that I could do that formula. I had to figure it out. So it becomes a fact. You can't fake a can-do attitude. It's really something that's in you, and you can do that. So, I say to you, Dr. Leaf talks about this when it comes to a can-do attitude. It goes beyond acting. Our thought lives have incredible power over our mental, emotional, and physical well-being. In fact, our thoughts can either limit us to what we believe we can do, or release us to experience abilities well beyond our expectations. Well beyond. See, I was limited to what I believed I could do or couldn't do. So I want today, there's a song that Israel Houghton sings about taking the limits off. I'm challenging you today to see have a new perspective about yourself, or whatever that thing is that's holding you back. See yourself being able to do this and release yourself beyond these. And sometimes we talk about people putting expectations on us, but the person that puts the most limiting expectations on us is ourselves. And so it's a choice that you must make to see yourself differently, perceive yourself successful in every area, even those the little foxes is the thing that spoils the vine. I'm saying to you, don't let that little thing stop you. Proverbs 23:7, the Amplified Classic says this, for as he thinks in his heart, so is he. So the way you think about yourself, you become what you think about as relates to yourself. So guess what? I'm challenging us all. Let's refocus. Refocus. Philippians 4:8, the Amplified Classic, said this. For the rest, brethren, whatever is true, whatever is worthy of reverence and is honorable and seemly, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely and lovable, whatever is kind, whatever is winsome and gracious, if there is any virtue and excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think on and weigh and take account of these things. Fix your minds on them. Meditate on this. I'm telling you, refocus. That thing that you said you couldn't do. How is it that we can say and claim in the scripture, the next verse, I can do all things through Christ that gives me strength? But then we turn around and say, well, I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm just not good at that. But we turn around, we quote that scripture, but do we really mean it? I tell you, the Lord has been challenging me this year to really take a look at the scriptures, because it's one thing to have head knowledge, but are you really being the scripture? It's not enough to have it memorized. We got to be what we say we believe. And I'm challenging you to say it. If you say you can do all things through Christ, then that one area, even if it's small, well, that's small. That's not really going to stop my career. Maybe, maybe not. I'm not saying let what somebody else says to you dictate who you are, but I'm saying don't you get in agreement with some negative thought about yourself and you limit yourself. And another scripture, Ephesians 1, I love this one. This is what part of what Truth of the Day is about. It's about enlightening and empowering people to see and discover the truth inside of you. Ephesians 1, 18 through 19, the Message Bible says this. I ask God, the God of our Master Jesus Christ, the God of glory, to make you intelligent and discerning. Right here, this is a prayer that the Apostle Paul was praying for the Ephesians. And I want you to see this as a prayer for you right now. I'm asking God, the God of our Master Jesus, the God of glory, to make you intelligent and to make you discerning, to make you sharp-sighted, to make you penetrating in your view, to make you acute, to make you able to be discovering and judging and knowing Him personally, and to know and have your eyes focused and clear. Are you hearing me? Perspective is what we see, but I'm asking God to make your perspective so clear, so acute, so discerning that you will be able to see exactly what He is calling you to do, so that you can grasp, so that you can seize, possess, and embrace with immensity this glorious way of life that He has for His followers. Oh, of His work, the work that He has for us, for those who trust in Him. God has a work for you and for me, but we got to trust Him. Again, we got to give Him that full array of our lives and access. And when we do, guess what happens? You have endless energy, boundless and utter extravagant life and strength. And that's what I received when I got over that fear. I told you before, this is the second Adar month. In the Hebrew calendar, we're in Adar 2. Adar means strength, majesty, might, and power, and glorious. God is glorious. He's strengthening us. He wants you to be empowered today with this truth. And if you loose yourself from that fear, you refocus and do a V lookup and ask God, be honest, Lord, show me what that thing is that's holding me back, even if it's something small, and how can I change it? Just like He did for me. You will experience endless energy, boundless and utter extravagant strength. Then what? You will be repositioned. Repositioned for what? To move and be set aside to do what God has called you to do. John 17:17 is one of my favorite scriptures, and this is what empowered you today. Jesus said to the Lord as He was praying, Lord, sanctify them, separate them, purify them with your truth. Your word is truth. The truth, when we know the truth, John 8:32, when you know the truth, when you perceive the truth about yourself, that truth will do what? Set you free. It brings about a freedom and a liberty in your life. So what am I saying to you today? When we do a V lookup, vertically look up to God. Change your perspective about yourself and even others. Always worrying about what somebody thinks about you. The truth is, at a certain point, people aren't even thinking about you at all. It's you get so worked up, they're not thinking about you, what you think. And if they were, what difference does it make? If you got to think positive thoughts about yourself, you're going to have that law of attraction when you see yourself as God sees you, as the apple of his eye, as the head and not the tail, as above and not beneath, as a person of success, as a person of victory. Trust God to place you in the right place at the right time. Listen, if you want to know more about how to be empowered with truth, I'm going to actually be doing a seminar coming up in April. And I'm going to be with a friend of mine. He's going to be on my show soon. And his name is Ty Carter. And we're going to be actually conducting a seminar where we're going to invite people in. And we're going to help you do a checkpoint at the end of the quarter. You know, we're winding up the quarter. And we want to see where you are. How's your game going? Are you on target for your game? And I want you to reach out to me at tinaempoweredme.com. And also, if you enjoying Truth of the Day with Coach Tina McCrea, come and visit me. Come and visit us at Without a Trace Ministries, where the liberating power of Christ makes you really and unquestionably free. I want to see you enlightened and empowered to be really and unquestionably free. And you can do that with that V lookup. You can go to our website there at withoutatraceministries.com or call us. I would love to hear from you at 888-465-1136. Reach out to me, let me hear from you, and don't forget to go on Facebook and check us out there at tina.mccrea. I just hope that this has been a blessing to you. Do visit us. We look forward to seeing you at Without a Trace Ministries. And again, this has been Truth of the Day with Coach Tina McCrea. Make sure you do that V lookup this week. I challenge you, keep it positive and not negative.
For more information about Breaking Free program, Apostle Gary or Apostle Tina McCrea's church, Without a Trace Ministries, join us at 2650 Young Road, Stone Mountain, Georgia, 30088. You can receive your copy of Empowering Truth, Real Stories About Overcoming Domestic Violence and Abuse for a donation of only $12.95. Go to my website at tinaempoweredme.com for more information. This program was underwritten by viewers just like you. For more information, go to withoutatraceministries.com and donate there. For more information about the MVP Masterminds with Vision and Purpose Huddle, go to the Empowering Truth Consulting Services Facebook page and register there at Empowering Truth.